Directed back with another video for Dragon Age Inquisition Reaver build 2021. Also, if you're new, subscribe to the channel, help a guy reach 1k subs. Next build video will be a video for my Geralt of Rivia build. For those who are wondering how I'm left 16 with max SP, it's because I used the duplication glitch with Amulet of Power to max out all my SP so I can freely build however I want to and save me the trouble grinding for SP like most of you will. Plus this game is very old and it took forever just to get past left 4 through every playthrough, so I made 4 saves. First 2 saves are based on my main build, which is a champion build that I have not shown since in Way of the Champion video. That's very old, so I will be doing a build video on that as well. Third save is based on my Reaver build, which is shown in this video, and my fourth final save in this second playthrough is based on my Templar build, which I have not done anything with yet but will eventually do a video on it. Also expect a new. Going back into the point of this video is to show off my Reaver build for those who interested in playing this game in 2021 and looking for a new Reaver build. For some of you who may come from watching other Dragon Age Inquisition channels and see how I play compared to them, very slow, but remember I'm not them, I'm myself directed and I will never try to be like anyone else. I also know most of you will be like, what the fuck is this audio you're listening to? It's because I'm trying to explain stuff quick as I can without making the video forever long. By the way, I know the few seconds pause in this text to speech audio is trash, and I also know this voice isn't the best, but it's what I'm planning on using for this video and some others. But that's not the point of this video, it's to talk about my Reaver build, so that's what it should be about. So let's get straight into it. I know some of you may think, why the fuck aren't you using Sigil of Great Bear? Because it's trash. Best Sigil in game is Sigil of Giant, which can be farmed from a giant on luck if you kill enough, which I did for mines in Exalted Plains map north far right of Grace Vine Camp almost before you reach Math Allen Tree Point of Interest. And you may also think, the fuck you mean Sigil of Great Bear is trash because it hurts your power regen by 50% but gives you 100% stamina or power dependent on if you're warrior based class, which is champion, Templar, Reaver, or rogue based classes, artificer, assassin, or tempest, which are energy, which is called stamina and game based specialization. If not them, you're a mage type class, which is necromancer, rift mage, or knight enchanter, which specialization that is power based. But back to explaining why I choose Sigil of Giant over Great Bear is because I regen stamina very fast, so I can keep using my abilities much as needed for extra damage. Plus it gives my abilities 100% cooldown times. For the masterwork I used on my armor, it is Fate Touched Ring Velvet, which makes all my abilities use 7.5% less stamina. Armor section I used Bloodstone for extra armor penetration defense 1 section, Everite for extra attack damage and melee defense. Utility section I used Obsidian for extra chance to stagger enemies on hit and defense 2 section I used Silk Brocade for 1.5 magic defense. And yes, I know there are other armor designs I could have used instead of Dragon Armor, which can only be obtained from Jaws of Hakan DLC, but it gives second highest armor rating in game at 324, while the final DLC Trespasser you can earn Skin Shield schematic that gives you 339 armor rated. And yes, I know the problem with those legendary armor schemes is that they cannot use the armor upgrade part, so it lacks some stuff, but it works well enough for me. But on to next point. The weapon I used is the Chromatic Blade, which can only be obtained from the final DLC Trespasser around a time when you're at the Winter Palace at night only while the fireworks are going off. You have to go to the fire area, which I got a video coming out for showing how to get the blade schematic, which deals random elemental damage such as fire, electric, soul, ice that has a max DPS of 315. I mainly build mines with Bloodstone to deal 50% armor penetration damage. Also used Great Bear Hide to gain extra crit chance plus 21%, and for the masterwork I used Fate Touch Ring Velvet to deal extra damage on a crit with a rogue based attack that deals quite a bit damage when it procs every so often. And yes, I know there are better mastery works I can use, such as the best masterwork Fate Touch Imperial Vestment Cotton, which is not easy to obtain, which I also need a 10% chance it procs Walking Bomb, which can't deal 100% of your weapon damage over time and 600% explosion damage. Also, since I'm not on my main save for my second playthrough where I unlock the Creedal Vitar for my male Quinary playthrough, that gives me plus 9% crit chance, plus 9 attack, and plus 59 additional health, which is also the best Vitar face paint in the game for Quinary, which I got a video coming out for as well on how to unlock it. But once I unlock it for my third save, stats are 51 strength, 10 dexterity, 16 cunning, 10 willpower, 54 constitution, 20% attack, 141% guard damage, 50% armor penetration, 60% crit damage, 36% crit chance, weapon damage 238, 25% flaking damage, 10% magic defense, 57% melee defense, 13% range defense, 262 armor rating, 1206 health, 150 stamina, and left 16 in this third save. But I used Devour ability to deal 100% weapon damage and regain a small amount of health back, but its damage does increase by 2% every time my health drops by 1%. Along with it, consume upgrade I gain 25% crit damage chance on hit. I rarely use Ring of Pain because I rarely ever need it, but it does drain a lot of stamina while active, but deals extra 15% weapon damage every second while active. Along with it, Torrent of Pain upgrade I gain 20% ability reduction and 4-second cooldown reduction. Also run in my Reaver build, you must have every passive unlocked proc in order to feel the full effect of this build as you see I do in this video. Reaver Blood Frenzy passive increase your damage by 5% every miss and 10% health. Fervor passive gives you 30% damage bonus when an enemy dies nearby you for 5 seconds, range is 10 meters. Terrifying Fury passive gives you a chance on crit strike to deal fear causing enemies to run with a 25% proc chance. Scenting Blood passive gives you a chance to proc it while near badly hurt enemies, dealing 10% increased crit hit chance bonus and 50% speed boost, 35% health plus 10 meters. Weapon shield passives help as well, such as Bear Mauls give 3+ constitution that helps with melee defense. Warrior resolve passive 10% additional stamina every 10% health lost. Turn the bolt passive 50% damage reduction. Turn the blade passive 20. Flow of battle passive on crit attacks you reduce the cooldown of all your abilities by 1 second. Mighty blow ability because it deals 200% damage while also knocking down enemies, plus easy target upgrade because it reduces the cost of your ability by 15 stamina and increase the ability damage by 300%. Shield breaker passive reduces enemies entire defense by 20% for 6 seconds. Guard smasher passive you gain increased damage versus guard by 100%. Clear a path passive dealing damage to multiple enemies with a single hit you regain stamina for each target by 10%. Earth-shaking strike ability because it deals fire damage with upgrade while also increasing your weapon damage by 150% each attack. Crippling blows passive decreasing enemies damage by 15% for 10 seconds. This passive can stack. Hamstring passive because it reduces enemy movement speed by 50% for 3 seconds. Coup de grace passive that allows you to deal more damage against enemies that are stunned or knocked down while also giving you a 30% damage bonus. Deep reserves passive that allows you to regen your stamina 50% faster the lower your stamina is. Combat roll ability along with its coming through upgrade that deals 250% of your weapon damage. Warhorn ability makes enemies run in fear for 8 seconds. Seize the time upgrade allows the ability to continuously use the ability without any cooldowns but gains a better chance of making enemies run in fear the longer you wait to use the ability. Most time in combat the ability will not work, so this ability I would consider optional, but I mainly use it for the fear proc in case of mobs, meaning too much aggro is going on to cleave down some incoming damage for a few seconds. When it does proc can be switched out with Reaver Dragon Rage ability, but is very risky because it can kill you. Reason as to why it drains 2% of your health, but its damage does increase every 1% health you lose. But to help with the ability it can be paired with Ring of Pain to increase its effectiveness along with its Ravage upgrade that reduces Devour ability cooldown every damage you deal by 2 seconds and increase your damage by 50%. It's all up to you if you choose the risk for additional damage but at the cost of your life. The only way around it of playstyle is to constantly sit on your Devour ability to heal back every lost health and rely on abilities such as Charge in Bull or Challenge, maybe even Warcry. Reason as to why, because those ability activate the guard effect that protects your health while available, but you would have to also focus towards materials that increases health and heal bonus to increase Devour ability healing, and would really need Sigil of Giant to help with the stamina problems you may have, and would need to use mastery works such as Fade Touched Iron Velveteen to reduce stamina drain. And TBH with this type of playstyle it requires a lot which I could go into more detail about, but it's not worth the explanation in this video. I may do another video based around that playstyle, but would have to make a new armor set for this playthrough and use sword and shield setup. Reason as to why, because if you can build a shield with heal masty work or get the cheese shield, because it have the heal 15% health back for 10 seconds effect but doesn't proc every second, it's great but still has a small cooldown. And TBH most players who use the setup would need to constantly heal or they would risk dying trying to deal more damage. And for those who think that's not that hard, yeah okay buddy, you'll die in most fights, especially dragon or great bear battles on nightmare mode with even ground trial on. And do keep in mind there isn't really a support class in the game like trolls and healers. While you can build a mage like Vivian, which I use as a semi-support mainly to some would heal, others cannot heal. Often she doesn't even truly heal because she doesn't have a heal ability, but you can give her or any other mage ability to heal with revival ability to heal any member in the team that's down, and use life ward upgrade with 25% damage resistance and a 15-second duration with dispel ability and its transmute upgrade that removes magic effects and status effects such as electric attacks from dragons and increases her magic such as damage barrier generation 50% damage bonus 25% duration 10 seconds, but do the very little amount of support classes or abilities this game got is sad and mostly on dealing damage and really lack in areas such as healers and trolls, which would have been nice to have, but hopefully the next game improves on Inquisition like a 2.0 update. But now back to the point of this video, which most of you click on for its talk about the other passives and abilities that I was speaking about before this conversation came up. With full explanation on abilities like Warcry, it will aggro all nearby enemies with a shout that will also give you the guard effect. I personally don't like the ability because its cooldown is too long for my playstyle because I try to constantly keep my guard up, and yes there are mastery legendaries that you can use, such as Fade Touched Obsidian, which only grants 3 guard but still helpful, and most depth could be used for that secondary Reaver build I was speaking about before to help with survivability, because you'll lose health often from Dragon Rage but would need to rely on Devour, and as stated before, a sword and shield set up with Fade Touched Iron to heal every so often, and it will lack some damage, so you would miss out somewhat on damage but you would stand a better chance to live. Now let's go back to main conversation. Warcry ability does give you 20% guard each enemy and a short 4 seconds duration. You can get a 14-second duration, but you will need its call to arms upgrade that give you additional 10 seconds along with 200% armor bonus, which I still don't care for and would say it's kinda worthless ability, but it is better than the challenge ability that is completely useless because it's a single target aggro ability, which isn't that bad, but most times you will fight multiple enemies throughout this game and sometimes boss fights that are actually solo bosses, plus you would only gain 10% guard from the ability and the aggro only last 8 seconds, which isn't bad. You can remove its cooldown with the Call Them Out challenge, which is buggy because in most fights I have tried to spam it and would still be on cooldown for me. Even check to see if the upgrade was active and it was, and still would be on cooldown for me, and I can't speak for everyone else who plays this game still and have noticed that problem, so you would stand a better chance using the ability Throw the Gloves upgrade because it increases your stamina regeneration by 15 every second while the ability is active, but only if it does aggro the enemy you taunted. Now onto the next passive, Trust the Steel, that gives you additional armor when your guard is active by 20%, and the Cut in Words passive that increases your damage by 20% while also dealing more damage to aggroed enemies. Now onto another ability I use, Charge and Bull, which is okay but I think is useless as well. Reason why: because the cooldown is too long but deals 150% of your weapon damage and only give you 10% guard. With its Light on Your Foot upgrade you gain better control over the ability. Untouchable Defense passive increase your guard max by 25%. Idle Cost You passive makes enemies that uses melee attacks bleed, meaning they'll take 50% damage back instead. And for those who watch this video throughout, I appreciate that, but direct tip out and see you in the next